JT Westersill of Locked On Utes. I talked about this on my show this week, Utah going to the Big Ten, and it seems like every month or so, somebody posts something about this being inevitable. This time, the report said that it might even be close to a done deal or something that is going to happen. I believe there was a typo in the Jim Williams tweet where he said that this is going to be a thing where, so deducing from the typo that Utah might not be a done deal to the Big Ten. Do you think, let's start here. We've had this conversation a couple times. I want to differentiate it by asking a new opening question. Does Utah, unequivocally, the Big Ten excluded from this, want to be in the Big 12?
It's a very complex situation, I think, right? Because it feels like there are.
Just say yes. Just say yes.
I want Utah to be in the Big 12. I want to make that incredibly clear. You're asking me to speak for the university, and and I do think right now they want to be there. Like I do believe that, but look, Mark Harlan made his comments. He can't take that back. That's not good. There was a lot of noise and rumors about Utah wanting to go to the Big Ten and not being left out. So. Yeah, I mean, if the Big Ten offer came, I do believe Utah would jump. Now, I've said this also. I think it would be, in a way, foolish for them to jump, but you almost have to just because you could double your revenue. Like the TV revenue is double in the Big Ten, even for what like Oregon and Washington aren't getting a full share. They're still making more than what the Big 12 school is.
That wouldn't double it because Utah would not get a full share of the Big Ten, so you wouldn't necessarily double your revenue. You would make more objectively in the Big Ten, though, based on the projected revenue. Definitely.
But I don't think they should want to go to the Big Ten because they could see their brand diminished, like what's happened with the Nebraska, where everyone's like, a lot of guys our age, Drake, were like, what, Nebraska used to be a powerhouse? Like, we don't know what that is. Utah's Pac-12 titles, I mean, look, already won down here in the Big 12, but like if you go into the Big Ten, what, Utah with a Big Ten title? That seems like a really tall task when you're competing with Ohio State and Oregon and Michigan in the NIL era with the talent they're bringing in. Utah could win the Big 12 this year. They were everyone's pick to win it last year. A reminder, not just Utah fans. A lot of the media thought Utah was going to win it because that roster on paper with Cam Rising and all those returning guys had a lot going for it too. So I want Utah to be in the best spot where they can compete for conference championships, not just where it's like, oh, cool, we're a Big Ten school. I can't stand when the Big Ten and SEC schools just claim the other team success and like, yay, it shows our conference is awesome. No, I want to be the one to control my team's success. I want to be the one, if I'm Utah, where I'm the one going into the playoff. I'm the one who's beating those other teams and not watching other Big Ten teams just be like, yay, every year the same teams get in and they beat up on everyone. I think that's we're heading in a very dangerous direction. So if the Big Ten offer were to come, I think Utah would take it. And honestly, I think almost I really do think every member in the Big 12 would probably take it just from a financial standpoint. With the future of college football looking as it is, you want to be in the Big Ten and SEC if you can. But I think long term, just like I've always thought when it comes to super conferences, it's bad for the sport.
Somewhere in there, you said that Utah would stay in the Big. I said take the Big Ten out of it, and you're like, kind of.
I wish they would. I really do, because I think it's a better place for them to compete.
If I'm going to close the floor for a second, and then I'm going to open it right back up for you to just spew. I am speaking on behalf of what I heard from Utah fans, and I think on behalf of Utah fans, they felt as though a move from the Pac-12 to the Big 12 diminished their brand at least slightly.
Oh, is it is open for me again? I was waiting for the official.
I'm going to open up like a small. The gate's kind of opening for you.
There was definitely Utah fans that felt that way. You were absolutely right based on the social media.
I think the administration probably was gunning for the Big Ten. I mean, I'm sure they would. Like you said, they would accept this. I believe the rhetoric and a lot around it. Utah thought, hey, if we go to the Big 12, our brand's going to diminish a little bit compared to this Conference of Champions that saved us from being at. Okay, I'll open the gate a little more because I was going to say this.
Utah was one of the top, like they were up there with Commissioner Kaliakov trying to keep the Pac-12 together. So I do think that was their priority, was to keep the Pac-12 together first and foremost. And then it became, can we slip into the Big 10? We can't. Okay, cool. We'll get in with the Big 12. That's how it seemed to me.
But again, at the root of this, Utah felt, at least its fan base, that its brand was diminished in the Big 12 compared to the Pac-12. So understanding that, if your brand is diminished, even slightly, to the Big 12, then you go 11th in football, 14th in men's basketball, last in baseball. At that point, not very good at softball.
One gymnastics.
At that point, right, your brand is diminished. Then you go to the Big 12 and you fail in your first year in athletics. Your brand is even more diminished. I don't see, and I've had people in my comments like, well, don't forget what Utah has done historically. Yes, but so much of realignment is what have you done for me lately? Clemson's a massive brand for what they have done lately. Utah came into the Big 12 and couldn't hold weight. So it makes me wonder, why would the Big 10, they haven't held weight at all. I will say,
well, they've been right there with BYU. Like they're right there in all those football games, right? Every game was a game in the fourth quarter. So I feel like
but one team won 11 games, one team won 5. We can't pull that away.
Yes,
one team had a top 15 finish, the other.
Oh wait, no. Yeah, I agree with that fully. I'm just saying. We can't read completely into 1 year, right? This is a multi-year thing. Success. Sure. Oklahoma State just going to be dormant forever now.
Sure, I agree. I agree with that. It's just.
I think there's a difference between Utah and Cincinnati, and I'm sorry to any Cincinnati fan that's listening to this right now.
And you know what? Yeah, one is the primary state school of it's the biggest show in town. Cincinnati is in Ohio. Ohio State is Utah.
You call Utah the biggest show in town in Utah? Oh, I like the way
Utah is the biggest show in Salt Lake City. So I agree. I agree with that. I'm just what I'm struggling with is you're already diminishing your brand a bit by going to the Big 12.
I agree.
Then you're diminishing it further by losing in the Big 12. I don't see how a move to the Big 10, how you won't become an Illinois, a Maryland, even most years, an Indiana, a Minnesota. Utah would just fall in line, and Arkansas, a Mississippi State, a Texas A&M, where you're in the middle of the pack going, we're relevant. Yeah. And you're just not. If your brand is already diminished and you diminished it more by not winning in the diminished conference, I don't know what you could do in the Big 10.
Yeah, I agree with that fully. I mean, UCLA, Drake, doesn't it feel like their brand is already taken a hit? UCLA or USC, I feel like will be fine eventually. We'll see. Maybe Lincoln had it down here, but like UCLA already took a hit. Washington, to me, man, does that feel like a program a long way removed from a national championship game, and it wasn't even 2 years ago. Like it just that quickly, their brand took a hit. You mentioned some of those other ones too, even though obviously Indiana's brand, Illinois' brand.
Which again, I'm sorry, I know I should close myself here. For Washington, again, it's what have you done for me lately? Like we how quickly we forget. Utah was good at football 2 years ago, like elite at football 2 years ago. So was Washington, but one bad year in the case of Washington, in the case of Utah, can really taint that.
It can. I brought up recently on one of our Big 12 squad shows, right? Like which team in the Big 12 most recently won back-to-back conference champions? The answer to that is Utah. But understandably, from you guys' perspective, well, you didn't do that against us. So that doesn't matter. And I think that's a fair reaction to have, even though I think Utah deserves credit for winning back-to-back Pac-12 championships, especially beating some of those now Big 10 brands. But we do live in a what have you done for me lately conference. Utah has been not where they were for the past 3 years as well, too. So, yeah, I don't think a move to the Big 10 in terms of Utah's on-field football success is for the best of Utah. But if it comes down to, hey, super conference or not, then obviously Utah would have to go. Every Big 12 team in that situation would have to go. But I do think that Utah, if they had gotten lumped in with the Big 10, I think their brand would already be being diminished. And then bowl games become your like Super Bowl and like, hey, how good of a bowl game can we get into? I mean, Minnesota got into the Duke's Mayo Bowl and Flavor Flav is dumping mayonnaise on PJ Fleck. I love the Gophers, but is that as good as it's going to get? Like that's a tough reality if you're Utah. So I think that's why it's better for them to be in the Big 12. And I'll even say myself at the time, I wanted Utah to get in the Big 10 too, compete with the best. But there's also a saying, be careful what you wish for. And I think long-term wise, Utah is better off in the Big 12 because it allows them to compete. Drake, I don't think they're going to finish outside the top 10 frequently in this conference when you look at how bad the quarterback play was last year. Could it happen? Absolutely. Look at the top of the conference last year. Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Utah, all towards the bottom. And then we had all these other teams rise up. But this conference is never chalk. And there's a lot of reasons to believe that Utah is one of the teams that could bounce right back up. And they can bounce back up because they're in a great, unpredictable conference like the Big 12. And yes, I hope someone clips that for me. And not a conference like the Big 10 where you can bet on the same 3 teams to win it every year.
Yep. Devin Dampier, good thing he can run. Good thing he can run because he has no one to throw to.
It's some nice throws. But we're
running out of guys. He's running out of guys to throw it to. JT, where can more folks find your work?
You guys can head over to Locked On Utes on YouTube Monday through Friday. Also on the squad shows as well with my good friend Drake Toll and on my social accounts as well at JT Wistersill on X. And Locked On Utes on X is also there too. Drake, always fun.
JT and I are hanging out this weekend at the Savannah Bananas versus the Party Animals game in Clemson, South Carolina, 81,000 people. This has been and always will be Locked On. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day, a crossover with Utes and Dose Grande.